Hello, welcome everyone. This is Amy, the Mystic Rose Tarot. We are here, or I am here to share with you our third decan for the month of Cancer, 20 to 30 degrees. And we're falling in this particular decan with the planetary influence from the Unified Esoteric Tarot. We are falling into the planet of influence for Neptune in Cancer. And our minor arcana card of influence is the Four of Cups. So with this particular episode of the 20 to 30 degrees, our third decan, like I do for each astrological month, when we get to the last decan, I do a reflection. I go back to the previous decans and talk about their qualities and just seeing the similarities, the patterns that come up through the Unified Esoteric Tarot in relation to the planetary placement of each of these cards and the minor arcana card of influence. So to start with this particular decan, we're going from July 13th to July 22nd. That wraps up the last week, more or less, of the sign of Cancer. And then we start moving into Leo. And that we will be moving into the element of the wands, fire energy. So I don't want to sidetrack too much. We'll talk about that when we get to that decan during July 23rd. The sign of Leo moves, I think, on July 21st of this year. So that's when Leo will be in its position that it's all exalted in the sign of, or in the luminary of the sun, which is its ruling luminary. Luminaries are like the sun, the moon. They're not really planets, they're not really stars, depending on who you speak to. The moon is considered to be a satellite because it does move us around in relation to the earth. So what we're going to do here is we're going to focus on this third decan with the energy of Neptune and Cancer, which we have here. The last time Neptune was in Cancer, these planets, these transpersonal planets like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, even though they're generational, we could still use the influence of that planet in relation to the sign that's placed in. So the last time Neptune was in Cancer was from 1902 until 1915. My parents weren't even born yet, so we're looking more or less about the grandparents that were born that were already around at this time. So with the Neptune and Cancer influence, Neptune is a planet ruled by water, and its placement in the position with Cancer sits very comfortably. So we're looking at heightened sense of psychic abilities, very empathic energies, very imaginative. And also, interesting enough, I was thinking around the time that when Neptune was last in Cancer, I believe Edgar Casey was a clairvoyant. He was born, I think, in the 1847 or something like that, and he passed away right around this time. I think maybe a little bit past Pluto and Cancer during this time. And we started seeing, I think like in the early 1900s, we started seeing in various countries the psychics starting to come up and share their predictions about what's going on in the world at that time and also in the future. So this Neptune in Cancer during that time of 1902 to 1915 was a very heightened sense for anyone born during that time or was around at that time frame. So we have our key word here of sensitivity. And with Neptune and Cancer, we are with this particular decan. I titled this Sensitivity and Self-Acceptance. I like to call Neptune, excuse me, the divinatory planet out of all of the 10 planets that are out there, traditional and the outer planets, because Neptune works and influences in that realm of spiritual knowledge, the intuitive, the unknown, but also cosmic unity. They want to share. Anyone who has a very strong Neptune placement, especially when it's in the water signs, they have a sensitivity towards that unknown and wanting to understand and explore those elements. So when Cancer is placed in Neptune, Cancer's emotions are heightened. Cancer is primarily known as a nurturing sign, very maternal, very caring. They put others first before actually taking care of themselves. They put themselves second when it comes to their own well-being. And there's a greater empathy to those that are close to them, like family, friends. There's a bit of a traditional perspective emotionally with that placement of Neptune in Cancer. So this, again, is for this period of July 13th to July 22nd. And even though Neptune is not in Cancer, it's not going to be in that position for quite a few centuries. At least we can utilize the influence of that planet during this week, and just become more aware. Maybe this is a good time, especially with the water influence of Cancer and Neptune, to really fall into your practice. If you're feeling a calling to go more into the esoteric side of your spiritual practice, or just exploring some different, something different from what you normally do of your practice, you can use that week, July 13th to the 22nd, to harness those energies into your practice. So with this third decan, we have the Four of Cups. So I have 4 cards here, which I've posted on Instagram. And if you go to my website, I have the full interpretation that I've done with the Neptune and Cancer influence and the Four of Cups, Four of Water influence. And again, our key word is sensitivity, but also self-acceptance. So I'm going to bring up my notes here. So let me just give a brief overview. The Four of Cups is a card that we see in RWS and in various other decks, different interpretations of the Four of Cups. We usually see an individual who's just very passive, maybe sitting, lying down, is in an environment that may have some distractions or may not have anything. It could be pure silence, but there's no movement going on. There's scenes like with RWS where we see 3 cups on the ground, one of the cups, which can be related to the Ace of Cups, which is usually a hand that's floating right in front or nearby, to show the possibilities, the options to get out of the situation that you're in. Another perspective to take with the Four of Cups is, I read this in a guidebook for one of the tarot decks that I have, and I thought this was wonderful. This could also be a time of meditation and self-contemplation. It doesn't necessarily have to be boredom, but it could be just this time of where you're just being still. And we are in this new moon in Cancer phase right now. Well, we're going to be in the moon in Leo by the time this gets posted. But this is a time just to really see where things have been emotionally in the past. And so this one cup that we have that's floating right in front of us or is nearby is the next step. This is our guidance, almost like the light that we see in the Hermit card. This could be a inner reflection of ourselves that's being manifested outwardly, like it's right there in front of us. We have to just acknowledge where we are and see the situation for what it is and take that opportunity to grow from it. So that's one aspect of taking it, contemplation and just moving to the next step. And that's part of the process of the Four of Cups. But normally we see where something has shifted, where a sense of emotional unclarity has obscured the actions to move ahead. There's just something that's just not very focused. And without that clarity, you can't really move ahead. And so this could also relate to an experience from the past. It could have been something very traumatic or something that you thought was going to be something very uplifting for you, and it fell short. It wasn't really quite what you were thinking about, wasn't of interest. But with that one card, or with that one cup, I'll show here an example because I go through each of the cards that I have here. This is the Dreamkeepers Tarot by Liz Houston. We can see here there's this one cup in the ether. It's coming up, and when we see this individual, it looks like they're not looking quite at it. They're looking off to the side and away from it. Whether or not this individual has acknowledged it or not, we don't know. But this is what I like to focus on the cards when doing any kind of breakdown interpretation of the arcana, is looking at the upside and the downside. What can we do to change the situation? So in this case here, this is a time to acknowledge a message, a sign that can provide, oops, I'm dropping everything here, that can provide a message, but something that's very invaluable or very valuable, an awakening that could really change the scenario of your immediate environment. It's very important, to be aware of where we are and not to get lost in the immediacy of what's going on. We need to really separate ourselves and move from that situation. So, as I was showing here earlier, I have the Dreamkeepers Tarot. So this is the Four of Cups. Okay, so just take a look at the detail and the imagery here. We have an individual here where we see the wounds, okay? And when I first got this deck and I got to the cups, I mean, look at the detail here. Slightly graphic, but not too much. We have like forceps that are trying to get to something specific in the mindset. The forceps is actually looks like going inside the mind and trying to analyze, trying to figure out what's going on. But this is almost like the outer self, but the inner self is just not not connecting to it. So we have the exposure. We're seeing that healing is not being acknowledged. Here is the opportunity, if you will be open to it and seeing what could be ahead. This can represent our past, or it could represent our future. What could lie ahead. And this is the first cup. And then these other cups could possibly fall into the next series of situations that come, but you have to be open to it. So this interpretation of the Four of Cups with the Dreamkeepers Tarot, we're seeing here the withering away of the physical conscious realm and just finding solace within the confines of the subconscious. So basically, we're in that comfort zone, very similar to Pisces. Pisces is in the realm of the imaginary zone, if you will. This is where we're seeing here. They don't really want to come out to reality. They don't really want to face what could be up ahead. It could be good, it could be bad. But there is pain and sorrow in this card. And these feelings are almost causing a paralyzing effect on this individual. But with these other cards these other cups that we see here, we're seeing that help is here. There is guidance. Again, this is all potential. Could be potential, could be the past. Normally with the Four of Cups, some people will interpret this card as something that is in the past or something that is currently going on. We don't know if these cups are full or empty. It's all based on the question and the situation when you're doing a reading. But this is a card about acknowledging where you are at this time and taking that time and working through these situations or a situation so that you can move ahead. This is more or less, I'll show this again, more or less a surrealistic depiction of the Four of Cups. Just being lost and not really dealing with the pain and sorrow that's going on. That's why those wounds are exposed. All right, so the next I'm going to show is the cards I'm going to be pulling from are going to be from the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. I already have the Dreamkeepers Tarot, Dreams of Gaia, and then my favorite Tarot of the Holy Light. So this is our Witch's Wisdom. And since I'm working with the energies of animals and nature for these upcoming summer months, or for the remainder, I should say, the summer months, I'm going to be pulling more animal-centric nature influence cards into my Decan reading. So here we have the Four of Water. Again, this is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. And here we have the representation of whales. Whales are obviously connected. They're highly intelligent. They're connected to the water. They're connected to the emotions. Beautiful, powerful creatures, but also healing at the same time. And the whale is, if you've watched documentaries about whales, they're emotionally expressive through joy and sorrow, and through the way that they communicate, through their wailing, if you will, when you hear them communicating, and also through sonar. It affects the community overall, their community. So if I've seen a few documentaries where a whale could be lamenting the loss of its child, and you can literally hear the crying of this whale, and it echoes, and that echoing effect is reaching out to its own in the community, and the community comes to them, comes to the mother, comes to the need, to their assistance for support. And this calling out is a recognition by the community that their emotions are being acknowledged. That's why we have the 4. They're community-based creatures. They're very supportive. The whale has the means of support through their connection to those closest to them. And in turn, this instills the trust from others so that they can reconnect to the love in their hearts to share with others. So it's that understanding, that trust that's needed. That's one aspect of Cancer. Cancer, to have their loyalty and their dedication, they have to feel comfortable, and that comfortability and that security gives them the trust that's needed to open up and express themselves emotionally, and also from the heart to give love and to care. But they have to feel that security and that protection. That's why we have the Cancer with the shell on their back. They come across cold. Some of them do. They may be emotionless, but inside they actually have a heart of gold. It's just them, exploring their situation that they're in. So it may seem like they could be supportive there one moment, and then the next they may be just shut off because they're trying to analyze, they're trying to protect their feelings before taking steps forward. And that's what we have here with the 4 of water. I shouldn't say 4 of cups. It's just that trust and loyalty that is exchanged within those closest to them. So this is where we have the 4 of water. The next card, and the reason why I show different cards for each of the decans is I want to show to you the different interpretations of these decans through different decks and the meanings of their minor arcana card of influence. The next card I have here is from the Dreams of Gaia. And here, this is also related to water. The Witch's Wisdom Tarot works with the elements. So they work with fire, air, water, earth. So does the Dreams of Gaia. This is the card for water. Let me see the symbol here. And what's interesting with this interpretation of the 4 of water is we're seeing the beauty in something that other people may not see beauty in. We have an individual here who has been scarred, but this individual doesn't see that. This individual is in a place where it has learned to live with its difference, its different perspective. It's gone through hurt, it's gone through trauma. And so its wound is being reflected outward, and it is comfortable with it because this card here with the 4 of water is an individual who is secure. They're secure with their, I don't even want to use the word handicap, but with their difference. And they can share their experience by having the scar. Because people will be curious and they'll see this and they'll want to ask what happened. And then this person who's gone through hurt and pain, it doesn't have to be a physical scar, it could be emotional scars, but this is someone who can be open and feel comfortable to share their experience. So this is where self-acceptance comes in. It's the honest acceptance of the scars that we have been bearing from past experience. And this could have been done by poor judgment or something where we couldn't make a change in the situation. And this is where the lesson came in, if you will. The 4 of water is about expressing our weaknesses and finding the guidance and strength from them. This is about releasing any means of perfecting a situation. Okay, so let's say currently you're in a situation that's just, it's beyond control, beyond your own control. You have to leave it like it is. You have to go through it. And that's what I was explaining here with the scar. You know, you could be in a situation where it's just beyond your control, and you're going to have to just roll with the punches and go with it and protect yourself as much as you can. But at the same time, there will be lessons. Scars are lessons. Scars are reminders. So we have to accept it for what it is, good or bad, and know that this is where you are meant to be at this moment. And also to be emotionally aware of any actions that you take from that point onward. So this can also be a karmic related card if you don't make careful choices from the lessons that you've learned. And so you don't want to backtrack after going through something, feeling that you've made some clarity, some understanding, and then you make a poor judgment. That means that you haven't really seen that situation for what it is. You're going to have to stop and reflect. You're going to go back to this card. You're going to have to stop and take care of these wounds. Heal them. It'll take longer because of not making those right decisions. So self-acceptance for what it is, what you can't, there's no more you can do about it. So don't emotionally control what's going on at this time. If it's beyond control, if it's beyond the senses, if you will, go through it. You come out stronger that way. And again, with the Four of Water, you just learn from the scars. You learn from the lessons. And I want you to see this detail here with this mirror. And here, this mirror has that third eye. Has the third eye, and we see the two different faces facing different directions. They're seeing both sides of the situation, and it is what it is. Okay, so that was with the dreams of Gaia. The next card from my study deck, Tarot of the Holy Light. Here's the depiction of the Four of Cups. Now, this is actually held with the influence of Jupiter and Scorpio. And so Jupiter is this planet, words to describe it as expansive, luck, abundance, prosperity. And Scorpio deals with the intuitive side of a situation and trying to understand what motivates and what causes a certain situation to be what it is. It likes to go into the deeper realm of things. So Jupiter actually enhances this influence in the sign of Scorpio. It encourages them to really seek and to challenge or to face the challenges that the Scorpio influence in this card may have. So here, there's no individual, there's no animal, there's no human depiction. We're just in this environment, and we're seeing an emotional disengagement in the midst of a very disruptive, turbulent sea. The cups here, as we can see, they're floating aimlessly, and there's no connection. There's no control. It's almost similar to the Chariot when you think about it, when you see those two horses and there's no one there. We have the Charioteer. Some cards depict no Charioteer, and we just see maybe some energy of where it's just not in control. And so Here we're seeing the lack of, I don't want to say lack of interest, but more of a lack of responsibility to take care of what's going on in a particular situation. And by not doing so, the situation grows dire, it becomes more intense, and it becomes more of a challenge to work through. So this card is a reminder of using our own willpower, which we have here with the sun, to look at our inner force that we have and to just be awakened by that and to change the situation around. We could see this as a means of shedding light into a scenario that's just not being seen fully for what it is. We also have the use of emotional intelligence to redirect the Four of Cups to what truly motivates the heart and soul. So we have the energy, we have the energy of the sun, willpower, strength, courage, and then the emotional intelligence. We could see the water, but here the water is just in disarray. We need to calm these waters down. Emotional intelligence is like being mindful of your emotions and seeing things for what it is and just putting what needs to be done to calm the waters, to keep it still. Also, a positive change in the environment can also shift the perspective to one of clarity and stability. The Tarot of the Holy Light goes into greater detail with this particular card, with Mars in Taurus and Mars in Libra as its influence. So Mars in Taurus gives this action to start putting a foundation, putting some stillness in the situation. Same with Mars in Libra. Mars in Libra is almost forcing you to put harmony. What is needed to connect these cups, these emotions, to put them together so that these cups are tools and you can use them as guidance to help get out that situation. We have to look here as well. That willpower, that belief that you can move through this. And that also comes through self-acceptance. Okay, remembering that this is not going to be easy, but do what you can. The whole premise of the Four of Cups is to take action before things just become more stagnant. And there is such a thing as more stagnancy in the sense that you're not doing anything, but as you don't do anything, there's no life force. So when no life force is being put into something that is not moving, what happens? It starts breaking down. It starts decaying. It becomes no use. And that's ultimately what happens to the individual inside. They start breaking down. They start losing further perspective of what's going on, and they're not saving themselves. They're just allowing the situation to come like a big wave and just start eroding from the inside. And then in turn, that gets reflected outwardly. So those are the energies and the characteristics that we have with these cards, facing our wounds, seeing them for what they are. It's like a wake-up call. And start making some emotionally intelligent decisions. Okay, this again is from the Dreamkeepers Tarot. Community. Let people know how you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with that. Find that support group that you need. And that love is there. But only find it with ones that you feel comfortable with and that there's a loyalty. Don't go up to any stranger and start saying what's going on. This is all about bringing things back together. Okay. We want to bring these energies together so that we can have this vital life force to allow us to move out of that situation. And any damage that has come from it, either currently or from the past, it is what it is. Self-acceptance. No perfectionism. There's no perfectionism with the Four of Cups. There's no easy way out. You have to move forward. Okay, so this goes back to sensitivity and that Neptune and Cancer influence. Looking within ourselves and being honest, what we really want, what really can make us move ahead. And this could come through means of, a spiritual practice, meditation, anything like that, or connecting with people that you feel very comfortable with. Okay. So that is for our July 13th to July 22nd decan, last decan for the month of Cancer. I want to reflect now on the previous 2 decans. I'm not going to go as long. I'm just going to go and do a quick overview for a few minutes. Our decan before this was from July 2nd to July 12th. And the influence that we have here is this like carrying and giving. This is with the Three of Cups. And with the Unified Esoteric Tarot, our planet influence is Pluto in Cancer. Pluto was also a generational planet from, I think, the early 1900s. Let me see what I have here. When was Pluto last in Cancer? Let's see here. From 1913 to June 1939. It's the last time Pluto was in Cancer. So these slower moving planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, more than likely, for anyone who is watching this, if there's going to be YouTube in 100 years, which I doubt, from this time onward, Pluto in Cancer for caring and giving, Three of Cups. This is all related to, excuse me here. This is all related to, oh, I just lost my notes here. Give me 1 second. Okay. I place this with emotional nurturing and surrender. Okay. So we have here a time of celebrating success, things that we've been working on. Emotionally, we're feeling very confident. We're feeling very strong about this. And we are expressing this by sharing our enthusiasm with other people. Pluto is destructive and transformative. And so when it's placed in Cancer, it forces Cancer to come out of its comfort zone, and to maybe place itself in a situation where it could take a risk and see things in a different situation. Okay, here I have again the Three of Cups. By Dreamkeepers Tarot. So here is celebratory. Here is the unification of like-minded spirits and energies, and just relishing in the moment of what's been going on. And if you look very closely, this energy is being propelled by butterflies. Butterflies do show up in this deck in some of the different suits, but if you see anything with butterflies, moths, dragonflies, these are forms of creatures that are transforming. They've gone through their process. They've been in the cocoon. They start off with the caterpillar, they go into the cocoon, and then they turn into this beautiful creature. So we're seeing these steps, we're seeing this journey. And then the same here. This is the Lamia tarot. So we see here, we have the different sizes. And again, we have the dragonfly. We're seeing the growth. We're seeing the cup getting larger. We're seeing this confidence that is building up with the Three of Cups in this card. And the spiritual connection that we have as the cups are growing and they're, let's say, as these cups grow in size, they're being filled. We have that confidence. We have that emotional abundance that we can have at various stages in our lives, you know. But it's also about moving outside of our own boundaries to explore these possibilities is key in attaining the joy and love of what is currently being manifested. So we have to enjoy this process, but also know that in situations to get to this, we may have to take some chances. We may have to do a surrender of ourselves. We may feel about something that's very important to us, but that particular intention that we're working on doesn't have that same feeling that we have. So we're going to have to step back and release some aspects of ourselves to really see it for what it is. It's very important not to get so caught up in what's going on, which is totally fine, but to embrace something different, a different perspective that we see here with the Three of Cups. It's just getting there. Okay, so that was for our second decan, and that was from July 2nd to July 12th. And that was the Three of Cups. And this was a time of emotional nurturing and surrender. And then we go to our very first decan. So this week, sensitivity, self-acceptance. Here we had emotional nurturing and surrendering with our second decan. And then our first decan from June 22nd to July 1st was devotion, or is devotion. These are fixed. So obviously during this time, the moon, the decans change every 8 to 10 days. So these are fixed. You can always use them as guides and reinforce it with the current astrological positions of where the moon was probably at during this time, during these days, where Pluto was for the second decan. You can look and see where Pluto was or is at this time and use those influences to enhance the energies of each of the decans. So here we have the Two of Cups. And this is a card that, for the most part, a lot of people enjoy seeing. And so this card, I put devotion and self-love. This is held in the moon in Cancer, of which we were just in with our new moon in Cancer. But here, the devotion that we have is relating to the connection of what we have already, okay, and how we are nurturing it and how we're caring for that. This is from the Forest of Enchantment. The Two of Cups is about mutual connection and understanding of the emotions of two opposing energies. So sometimes you would see the Two of Cups where there are polar opposites of depictions, like red, dark hair, white, blonde hair, 2 women, 2 men, man and woman, different situations. But they are here because there is a universal force that brought them together. And that universal force and trust comes through self-love. The way you can attain the 2 of Cups is just taking care of your heart and having that word, self-love, loving yourself, feeling good about who you are, where you are in your life. And this gets expressed. It's like it's an invisible force that gets sent out. And when people see this, when you meet people, they're like, I like your energy. Your energy's it's really grounding. It's really good. They feel that. They sense that. And this is what we get here with the 2 of Cups. The timing is right to join with opposing energies, because that opposing energy is in the same situation that you're in. And so it's when you meet that force right there, and it becomes real. This is from the Dreamkeepers tarot. And so here we have 2 opposing forces, masculine and potentially masculine and feminine. But I can read these cards either way. And we have the masculine energy that's very rooted. It's very secure. It's very confident with how it feels about its own emotions. And here we have the feminine energy, which is a little bit more liberated. The energy is unclothed. It's revealing. It's just expressing who it is. And also it's a little bit more primal. Anything could change. Anything can shape shift. And here we have the headdress of like a horn, so something more animal instinct. And while here we have the other individual, this masculine energy that's rooted. And it's the joining of these 2 forces. And here we have one of the roots being wrapped around the foot of the feminine energy. So we're seeing that security. We're feeling that understanding of opposites. Like, yeah, I get you. I relate. And then you start growing. You learn from that opposite energy. What could be missing is what that opposite energy is feeling for you, and vice versa. And so that's the first decan from June 22nd to June 1st, with the influence of the moon in Cancer. So that's coming from a place of nurture, security. Also, you want to be protective as well, but to be open. So that was our first decan. So we have devotion, self-love, second decan, self-nurturing, and emotional nurturing and surrender. And then, which takes us to our third decan of sensitivity, and self-acceptance for our 3 of Cups. So we see the progression of the emotions from self-love to sacrificing part of ourselves, caring and giving emotionally, seeing that growth, seeing that abundance growing, and it being shared out with those in the community. And then our 4 of Cups, of being aware of our situation, being honest and accepting it for what it is. And this is all time. It doesn't happen immediately, but if you can bring this awareness to what is going on, you'll start making those steps. And like I said here with the 4 of Cups, reach out to that 4th cup, because it's probably where you need to follow the guidance to take you to the next step of healing. Okay, so that wraps up our third decan, and for the month, astrological month of Cancer. If you have any questions about any of the readings, any of my videos that I have discussing the decans, please feel free to leave a comment. You can reach me through my website. I will have the full interpretation of this and also the previous decan readings on the website, so you can look at those. I'll share a quick post of this on Instagram for those who want to see it, and then they can link it to the video and also to my website so you can watch it. And then we'll go on July 23rd. We'll move into the energy, the fiery energy of Leo. And so we're going to be in that sun sign of Leo, and we're going to discuss the different properties that Leo has when it comes to the decans. And we're going to be going, let's see, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be midway into our arcana. So we're going to be going 5, 6, and 7 of wands. So if you want to follow through and look at some of the decks that you have and want to follow through with the decans for Leo, look at your decks and pull out the 5, 6, and 7 of wands and see how those energies work. And you can walk through the cards that you have and walk through, as I discuss, the interpretations of those decans. And then after Leo, I think I have 1 week for the month of Virgo, and my year of going through the astrological decans with the Unified Esoteric Tarot will come to an end. And so that will be a special episode. That one I may actually do a live on, but I'll figure it out. We still have to get through Leo, but I'll figure that out. So that'll probably be the first week of the sign of Virgo. I'll probably do that. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Appreciate it. A lot of information, so that's why I keep my decan readings long, so you can always scroll forward if you want to see some of the meanings of the different cards. Have a wonderful week. Again, this is for July 13th to the 22nd. Bring in that energy, 4 of Cups, if things are just not energetically, emotionally moving for you. Look within yourself and see what you can do to change that. Move that energy. Use that vital life force that we all have. Activate it to start going into these situations straight on. And if there's any pain or suffering, ease your way out of it. Have a wonderful week, everyone. All the best.